In this video, we will see how you can use InfinityFree in order to host your website online for free. To follow along, you're going to require FileZilla, which is a file transfer protocol. What it essentially does is it allows us to push our local code onto the server. So you can work locally on your project in, let's say, VS Code, and you have your files hosted online. But every time you want to update the latest your server with the latest changes that you've made, instead of logging on to InfinityFree and replacing those files one by one manually or together manually, it's very convenient to use a file transfer protocol in the long run as your project grows. So just like with any other hosting service, you do have the option to manually just directly upload your files onto infinityfree.com and then you can forget about it. But if you want your website to be hosted online and then continue working on it and add more features or web pages to your website, in that case, it might be more convenient to use FileZilla along with infinityfree.com. So go to filezilla-project.org, and what we'll be using today is FileZilla client. Download whichever version is most suitable for you, and we'll select the free one. Make sure you're not paying. You don't have to do that if you're using this free tutorial. Once you're done with that installation, you can come back. Download is blocked, but I will allow it anyways. But once you have FileZilla installed or downloaded, what you want to do is come back to InfinityFree and register for an account if you don't already have one. Once it's downloaded, once FileZilla client is downloaded, double click on it, and this is what pops up. You'll need to accept the terms and conditions. Next, wait till it gets installed and hit finish. Once you have downloaded FileZilla, keep hitting next. Select all the default options, agree with the terms and conditions, and at the end, once it's successfully installed, this is what your main screen for FileZilla will look like. On the left, you'll have all of your local files and locations, and on the right is where we'll see our online server and the files on there once we have connected it. For now, we can minimize this. Log into our InfinityFree account. And currently I have too many ads and no accounts active. You have 0 out of your 3 free accounts active. I do have some previously deleted accounts because of my previous work with InfinityFree, so you might be able to see your deleted accounts down below. But currently, since we have nothing active, we can go ahead and create an account. And what that basically means is it allows you to create an account and a space within which your website will be hosted. So you can scroll down and select InfinityFree, the free option. You don't need to pay unless you want any of those services. We're going to use Create Now. And you can select your own, you can add your own custom domain or test out these different extensions. So let's call this our first project. And I'm going to choose infinityfreeapp.com. Check the availability, and that is available. So let's scroll down. I'm going to let this be as is, verify that I'm a human, and create the account. Email consent is required. Oh, I do not approve. Create account. And once this account has been created, you can click on Open Control Panel. select I approve. Now what you'll see in your panel is the different options available to you. Now if your website again is simply to do with front end and has no back end, you can open the online file manager. And in here under htdocs, you can see the files that are currently hosted online. There's no use of any of this, so we can delete them and we'll add our own files. This is where we will have all of our files added. So when we use FileZilla to push any of our local files onto the server, let's say it's your HTML files or your CSS files or folders of images, all of those will be visible here under htdocs in your file manager. Coming back to our panel, you'll see that you have preferences options available, you have other settings for your files, and what's mainly important to us is besides your online files, if you do have a database that you want to connect, you have the option to integrate a database with your website. And we won't get into that right now, but it's pretty straightforward on how you can use PHP or SQL. If you have experience with it, it's basically the same. Your skills are transferable. You can add your domains, select your domains, have your email for this given website, and so on. So I would suggest reading about each of these and exploring what your panel looks like. What's important to us is our site details. I think we need to go back to our account and just hit finish. Yeah. So before the control panel, the page that we were on, this is where the details of our account or our website or our server is that we will use in order to connect our FileZilla to this given server. So click on FTP details. And here is where you will find your file transfer protocol details that you can use to connect your file transfer protocol, which is FileZilla. So copy this username, copy, open FileZilla, and here you have a slot for username, just paste that. We also need password, so you can click on this, copy it, go back, paste your password. You also need the host name. So all of those 4 details required up here are provided to you. And then the FTP port is 21. Quick connect. You'll see that's going to take a second, and htdocs is now available here to us locally, and it's currently empty. So what we can do is quickly create our an index.html file, a basic one, and then we can add it over here. So I've opened VS Code and I'm currently in a folder called first project that I have in my desktop, and it's currently empty. So I'm going to add a file called index.html. The folder name doesn't matter, that's just for your reference. What we're going to do in the end is add this index.html file to our server. So on here, I'm going to create an HTML5 structure. Let's call this Introduction to InfinityFree. H1, welcome to this website. And a paragraph with random dummy text in it. Save this, and now we can add this website to our server. So we got disconnected real quick, so we'll connect it. We can abort our previous connection and start a new one. Quickly to htdocs, what we're going to do is I have my file stored in a specific location. I'm going to copy paste it. So I pasted my local path here. Under my desktop, I have a folder called first project. Inside that first project folder, I can see these are the files that are there, which is simply an index.html file. All you need to do is drag and drop index.html, and it gets added to our server. and our work here is done. Any files that you have in the future that you've created in your project folder, simply drag and drop it. If you're adding this for the second time, it'll ask you if you want to overwrite, so you can decide if you want to do that. And once this is done, you can simply close FileZilla once you're done adding your files. If you go back to the file manager and refresh it, you'll see that index.html is added. Wait, let's open that again. Open File Manager. Under htdocs, we have our index.html file. So we're all ready. We can go back to the main page, and under Home. Now, if you're unable to find this page, under Home, under your InfinityFree page, you have this account that you've created. You can click on it, and this is where you'll find your FTP details. And once the website is hosted, we can find it. I think it's under domains. Let's go there. And yes, under domains, we have our first project link. But as you may see, there's a notice on top that it could take up to 72 hours for your website to be up and running. So InfinityFree, it's free. It's one of those lesser known platforms that allows you to host your website along with a database, and that's the benefit. But if you don't have a database integrated to your website, I would say this is a bit of a tedious platform. The free tier gives you way too many ads that I have blurred in this video, so that's all the content that's being blurred in the background. And it can crash, so the free tier doesn't provide the best of services. But if you don't need a website to be hosted for a professional purpose, just to understand how you can host a back-end and front-end website on your on InfinityFree, then this is an option that you can explore. If you do not care for that and your website is simply using front-end technologies, then you can explore other options such as GitHub Pages and Netlify, and you can integrate a custom domain with them as well. So if you've followed along and you've come this far, just give it some time, a day or two, and when you click on this link, your website should load. So that's how you can use FileZilla to upload your code to a server and host it online using InfinityFree.